Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hard 100, a video series documenting the culling of my collection from what it is to what it's going to be, and that is a hard 100 games. Recently, I have been doing a bit of the bad stuff. I've been picking up games more than I've been getting rid of them, but don't worry, it'll take care of itself. However, there's a game that I picked up recently that I've had my eye on. I saw there was an expansion. I kind of looked into it. It was by a designer who has a couple of games that I have and have played. And I feel like his games are a little too big for me. But I wanted something a little smaller. The only small game of his that I have played is Patchwork, and I've enjoyed that. So I thought that if they took a version of a game that he already has, and they made it smaller, and they made it for 2 players, and made blah, 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 blah. Caverna. Oh, Cave versus Cave. Era 1 and 2. Caverna, Cave versus Cave by Uwe Rosenberg, Mr. Rosenberg, is a game for you and one other person, no, you or one other person, in which you are excavating caves and building little rooms to try to get points. That's the way it works. It is a classic Euro, and it is a 2-player implementation of a big boy game called Caverna. I have played Caverna on one occasion, and it was very enjoyable. I've also played its other version called Agricola, and I've enjoyed that as well. I haven't played any of the 2-player versions of that, so big, small farms, etc., etc. But I've played Caverna Cave versus Cave. What this game has you doing is on your turn, you are going to play a worker placement game. It says it's a worker placement game minus the worker placement. The way that works is there are a handful of tiles, and what you're going to do on your turn is you're going to go, and you're going to take one of those tiles, you're going to put it in front of you, and you're going to do the thing. Some of the things include excavating your cave on your player board. There are going to be a bunch of tiles, and if you want to excavate, you just remove a tile. On the opposite end of that tile, when you flip it over, is going to be a room. That is a room that you can build. You build rooms by paying food equal to the round that it is, kind of. So, for example, if we're in the second round-ish of the thing, it's going to take 2 workers. If we're in the third round-ish of the thing, it's going to take 3 workers. And if we're in the fourth round-ish of the thing, it will take 4 workers. By workers, I mean food. 4 food. A food per worker. Yeah. And all you're doing is trying to get enough resources to build rooms that give you special powers that you can activate later. Woo! It's not a lot, but it is engaging, I will say. Now, I've had problems recently with games requiring me to get resources to build things, and my problem was that the things that it had me build did fuck all. Here, the things that you build actually create an engine for you to move forward to get them beautiful points. Now, when you are building the rooms, there might be some restrictions. There are orange rooms and blue rooms. You can never have more blue rooms than orange room. They can't even equal. The blue rooms will give you extra bonuses to the things that the orange rooms do, which is weird, but it's fine. And the orange rooms are all gonna have an ability. Now, you can't use that ability as soon as you put it down. Instead, some of the action tiles will have a 1, a 2, or a 3, and that is how many of your orange rooms you get to activate. Everyone starts with an orange room that lets them get 1 general resource of their choice. And you can activate it, but you can only activate it once per round. Yeah, we'll say round. And then you just kind of do it. So you activate this, and then you can activate this, and sometimes they can combo and chain, and ooh, it's fun. So there are a handful of rounds, depending on what era round thing it is, will depend on how many workers you get to put out, or how many tiles you get to take. So in the first few rounds, there's 2, so you get 2 and then put them back, and then 3 and then put them back, and the last one is 4, and then you put them back. Now, there is also era 2. Now, I did pick up the era 2 expansion. It fits in this box lovely, and all this does is add 4 extra rounds of 4 actions each. So it takes your existing board. When you're done, you score it normal. So basically you play a regular game of Cave versus Cave. Then afterwards, you play an extended version of Cave versus Cave. So you add on a little extra board, and you fill it up the same way you did before, and you introduce new tiles and new rooms, and now that you've made the cave and done the thing, now you're actually trying to make weapons, and it introduces new resources and new extra things for the actions. So for example, you put a tile here, you can do the standard action, but then there's also some extra stuff that you can do depending. Now, every tile in this game is going to be used every single game. There's no mixing and matching. So in a 2-player game, every tile is used. The only thing that changes is the time when those tiles come out. Now that may lead to a little bit of, what's the opposite of variety? Boring? A little bit of boring. Maybe a little bit of boring. But that's not the game this is. This isn't a sandbox game. This game is a puzzle. And this game is requiring you to learn the puzzle every time you play. So you see that, oh, I need this. Oh, I need this. Oh, I need this. Okay, the restrictions of the rooms, okay, I know I'm looking for a room. Some rooms can only go down if you have walls built. So in this game, you can actually build walls as well. So if a room, like a tunnel, for example, requires a wall on each side to build the tunnel. So if I don't have those, I can't build the tunnel. And that's basically it. Let's do some housekeeping. 1 or 2 players. Now, I have only played this solo. I have played this maybe half a dozen times solo, and in the standard game, they want you to get 80 points, which is fuck off. But in the double player, they want you to get 180, which is ridiculous. The highest score that I've gotten 37, 37, and I've also gotten as high as 130 something in the Era 2 game. Admittedly, I was playing the game incorrectly, because in the rulebook it clearly states when you put down an orange room, it doesn't activate immediately, but my dumbass head was like, oh, I put this down and I get the power once, and it led to a lot of confusing rules, and once I found out the real way to play it, it was super fun. I hear that in 2 players, the game is very cutthroat. I don't understand where that is because I haven't played it yet, but I am looking forward to it because as a solo player, you just do your 2 actions and move on and et cetera, et cetera. But there's nothing blocking you, there's nothing stopping you. I don't know what I will care about more, stopping them or helping me. And I guess we'll see whenever I do it, because we'll get to that later. 20 or 40 minutes. With a solo, it's 20. It's very, very, very fast. Even faster than that, I would say, once you know what you're doing. 40 minutes for 2 players. I don't feel like it's gonna be that long. It's just taking me and doubling it, but etc. And 12 and up. There's a lot of small bits in here, and it is a rather complex game, and it's kind of, it's shifting in there. Stay. And with the extra era, it's gonna add an extra 15, 20 minutes. Let me find out. With the extra era, it adds another, it says 30 to 60 minutes. So for solo, it'll be 30, 60, and that box, I don't need it. Let's break down the individual things and how enjoyable they are. Worker placement without worker placement, it's okay. I don't like having to take the tile and put the tiles back, so instead what I've done is I've actually gone on Meeple Source and ordered some little Viking meeples. So instead, here, you have yours, I have mine, and we put them on the thing and we take our meeples back because that's easier than putting the tiles back and rearranging. Because if you're looking for a specific tile, I don't like the fact it's gonna hop around every time. I don't remember where it goes, but it's fine. For the simplicity and the 2-player small box of it, it's fine. It's fine, it's fine. All the components, wonderful. Some of the components are wooden and some of the components are tokens, like cardboard tokens. It's kind of weird that that's the case, but it's fine. You can always upgrade and do whatever. It's not a big deal. The gold has to kind of be that because when at the end you can flip it over and it's a +10. But I'm pretty sure you could have a screen printed token if that's your thing, but I'm not going to spend all that money. Components, big box full of chunky cardboard, and you'll love it. Now, whenever the actions itself, all the rooms are very different. Spending resources to get the room is wonderful. Putting the rooms on your board is very satisfying. Trying to find the right combination and trying to fit them all in, because once you put a room down, you have to meet the wall requirements, but after that, put walls around it, who cares? The variety of the rooms is interesting. There's a lot of selling this to get that, which is kind of fun. There's one room that doesn't do anything, but it gives you a shitload of points at the end, and at the end of the game, the end of the first era, you're adding up all of your gold and then all of the points on the buildings. And then at the end of the second era, you're doing that again, all the points on the buildings, but your gold only counts for half as much, and you're actually getting additional resources, like weapons and such, so actually that counts for more, so you can kind of get rid of your gold. Other resources count for nothing. There's also a donkey. Something else you want to be made aware of is in that second era, one of the extra things that the actions let you do is trade coal for iron, which is very important, and my ass didn't pay attention to that to the very end, when I'm maxing out on coal, being like, what the fuck do I do with this? And then I was like, oh, I need to actually swap that out so I can get this and then this. It's a lot. I'm very excited to see what Era 3 is. I think Era 3 is going to mirror Era 1, where it's 2 actions, 3 actions, a lot of 4 actions, and it's going to break it down to 3 and then 2. I think it's going to kind of mirror to wrap it all together, because if they add another era, at that point, you're making the game so long that I might as well be playing regular Caverna. I don't have regular Caverna. I don't want to spend $100 on regular Caverna. I don't want to spend $100 on Cave versus Cave plus 2 expansions. So I don't know how they're going to wrap this up. You don't have an Era 1 and an Era 2. It doesn't feel like there's a finality to it. I feel like there's going to be something at the end, and I will be there for it because Cave vs. Cave is in my Hard 100. I really, really like this. This is going to be my go-to for a two-player game for some time now. I feel like it's also going to be my go-to for a solo game. It's a really good puzzle. I like trying to figure it out. I like it. As far as two-player games that I have, we've talked about Starship Catan that I have. I do have Patchwork. I'm still not sure if I'm going to keep it or not because I have his Cottage Garden, which is kind of that plus a bit. I have Caro. There's a lot of very good just two-player games. They're phenomenal. This, I think, is one of them. If you are super huge into his games, this might not be enough for you, but for me, it's great. It's just the right amount of cardboard, it's just the right amount of rules, it's just the right amount of thinking, and I really feel like it scratches an itch that I don't have another game that does because I'm not usually into these kind of games. And by into them, I mean own them. Because usually these type of games come with a super large playtime and a super large footprint. Brass, Agricola, Caverna, those kind of games. I have Brewmasters somewhere over there, Brew Crafters, which is like Beer Agricola, and I haven't played that yet. Just there's a lot of these kind of things come with a big footprint, and I'm glad that this one doesn't. This, I'm very excited to play it again. It is standalone, sophisticated cave building, worker placement without the workers, but I ordered the workers, and you should too. I played it solo with some proxy meeples, and it's worked very well. It's a lot of silent this at the table, but it's fine. It's worth it. It is right for my shelf. You determine if it's right for yours, if you're really into two-player games. If you want a little more meat on that bone, go pick yourself up a copy of Caverna Cave vs. Cave, and I highly recommend the expansion as well, Era 2. It doesn't change what the game is. It just makes it a little bit longer and kind of takes the engine that you built in the first era and really puts it to the test to see if you have what it takes to make it to the second era, and I can't wait for the third. Don't know why I did that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on this, the latest edition of the Hard 100. I have to find a spot for this on my shelf. Let's put it over here for now. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you and yours are well. Peace out.